Funerals are being held for 13 Syrians killed during an Israeli raid in the southern Syrian village of Beit Jinn. The Israeli military says its troops were targeting members of an armed group there when both sides exchanged gunfire. Residents say Israeli forces killed civilians, including a family of 5. 6 Israeli soldiers and at least 25 Syrians were injured. The Israeli troops have been evacuated. Villagers are fleeing the area as Israeli drones now fly overhead. We can speak now to Al Jazeera's Osama bin Javaid, who has just returned from Syria. You've covered this country extensively, especially since the fall of Bashar al-Assad over the past 12 months. First of all, given that depth of knowledge that you have, just tell us how you're looking at this incident, how you understand it, and why it happened.
Just last week, we were actually very close to Beit Jinn, that is beyond the 1974 ceasefire line, in an adjacent village. And this is something that has been happening for the last 1 year, that Israeli forces have been coming in, setting up checkpoints, carrying out raids, arresting people. This is the deadliest of these incidents so far, where the death toll has risen to about 13 people now. And from what we understand from our local sources in these towns, is this, all of this is against civilians. The Israelis have been saying that they're carrying out attacks against sleeper cells, against Iranian-linked groups, against Hezbollah. But the geography of this area, this is a place which has been always anti-Assad. It was only taken by the government forces in 2017, 2018, and not a single shot has been fired from Syria towards Israel. So people are baffled by these claims because there's no presence of Iranian. They would never accept Iranian or Iranian-linked groups' presence on their territory. So this is why there's been insistence by these villages that all of these attacks are unjust, unfounded, and now we're hearing from the Syrian Foreign Ministry as well. I'll just read out a bit of what the Syrian Foreign Ministry says, that it firstly condemns the attack carried out by the Israeli occupation army patrol. After it infiltrated the town of Beit Jinn and assaulted residents, this led to direct clashes. After that, townspeople confronted the patrol and forced it to withdraw. And there's a whole detail of how it feels that this is a war crime, and then goes to say in the end that the continuation of Israeli attacks threatens security and stability in the region, and is part of a systematic policy to destabilize the situation and impose an aggressive reality by force. And that is something that we've been hearing from the people there, from the mayors of these towns and villages, from the elected officials, that there is a systematic policy by Israel to carry out an ecocide, to take farmers and shepherds away from their lands and harass the people to a point where they would leave these areas.
So Israel has consistently said that they want to get rid of what they see as threats in southern Syria, potential threats to Israel. Have there been any attacks against Israel from southern Syria, or frankly anywhere in Syria, in the last year?
That is a real no, because there's been no attacks, no infiltration attempts. Even the Syrian security forces, since the fall of the Assad regime, to avoid that and to maintain that they do not pose a threat to Israel, are not in these towns. You will see the Syrian security forces on the roads towards these towns, a few kilometers away, where you wouldn't see their patrols, their vehicles, their soldiers stationed, even their policemen. The only security personnel you see are the traffic police in these villages. So there have been no attacks, no threats against Israel, according to the people there, according to the Shura administration. There's been more than 1,000 Israeli strikes on Syrian facilities. Israel has wiped out all military capabilities, whether it's artillery, heavy machine, heavy ground forces, air forces, or naval forces. They've all been destroyed by Israel. That is why the potential to carry out anything or even retaliate to Israel is not really an option on the table. So according to the Syrian government, according to the people there, according to elected officials, this is all unjust. They want Israel to go back to the 1974 deconfliction agreement, to their side of the border, where there is a UN-controlled buffer zone, and the Syrian forces stay on their end.
I just want to drill down on this point of Israel wants that part of Syria, in their words, demilitarized. You were there, or not far from Beit Jinn, from the village where this happened overnight. You were there, you said, a few days ago, right?
Absolutely.
And you're telling us that, to all intents and purposes, you saw with your own eyes that it is demilitarized, in the sense that there isn't the Syrian military in close proximity to Israel's border. It's not even a border, actually, because they've seized territory. So the Syrian military just isn't there.
No, it isn't. And all of the positions that were held by the Assad forces have now been taken by Israel. We went to a couple of villages where the hills that you see towards Israel are now all occupied by Israeli forces, where people cannot, it's a no-go area. Israeli forces continue to come in and erect gates, check people, pick people up. We spoke to the person who's been elected from Quneitra into the People's Assembly, and he told us that he sees this as abductions, not arrests, because Israeli forces are raiding these homes early hours of the morning, blindfolding men and taking them to places where they know. There are people, more than 36 people who are in Israeli custody, whose relatives are reaching out to the ICRC, to the Syrian government, to the UN, and they don't know where they are. So according to the people there, according to the Syrian government, this is all unjust. This has no legal standing, and it is in contravention to all legal norms and the agreements that they have with Israel. So there has been a push, especially by the White House, to try and normalize the situation between Syria and Israel, especially now there is a new reality. And that is what the Ahmed al-Sharaa administration has been saying, that we already have an agreement that was signed between these two countries. And if Israel continues to take over territory, to harass its people, to impose this new reality by aggression, then it will not be able to sign anything with Israel because A, it will be a political suicide for whichever administration signs it, and B, it will not be acceptable by the people who say, and I met them, shepherds and farmers who say that for us, the occupation never ended. For us, the Assad rule never ended because the moment the Assad regime fell, it was taken over by Israeli occupation.
Osama bin Javaid, again, you were there in that very region of Syria just a few days ago. Thank you very much.
Don't miss out. Get the full picture. Subscribe to Al Jazeera for reliable news and expert insights. Like, share, stay ahead.